Hey there, I am Christie Ruffino, former broke single mom turned CEO of 2 six-figure businesses and best-selling author with 15 books. But it wasn't always like this. Not long ago, I was a hot mess. Yes, I did a lot of things right, but mostly I was throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what would stick. Fast forward past many failed attempts and a few incredible victories, I not only get to share what I've learned along the way, I get to bring together top influencers as they share their empowering stories, insider secrets, and valuable resources that can be used right now to step into your power. So, if you're an ambitious entrepreneur, or possibly one in the making, and you're looking to create a business and life that lights you up, well, then you're in the right place. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Mastery Unleashed podcast. This is Christie Ruffino, the host of the show and the person that gets to introduce you to today's guest. And today is a fun show. At least for me, it was a fun show when I recorded it. And I'm hoping that it's going to be a fun show for you as well, because I had the pleasure of interviewing or having a conversation with Lyons. And guess what we talked about? One of my favorite topics, website. Whether you don't have a website, or you do have a website, or you think you should have a website, or maybe you think you don't need a website, whatever that may be, Lori is going to address those topics as well as share some strategies that you can utilize a website to be more than just a very expensive, fancy online brochure. And Lori knows her stuff because she is the CEO of Igniting Your Business, which is a marketing company where she is a strategist, website designer, and coach that shows entrepreneurs how to get more leads, more clients, and make more money with a captivating digital and website presence. And we talk about platforms, we talk about SEO, we talk about plugins, tools, anything that has to do with utilizing a website platform or not to be able to elevate your brand, get more clients, and of course, utilize it to inform your ideal clients why you are the best person that should be helping them to accomplish their dreams. So let's get on with the show, because I'm sure you're excited as well as I'm excited for you to hear this episode. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode. I have the honor of introducing you today to Lyons. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you for having me, Christy. I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun conversation.
It is. It is. We're gonna have fun. We're also gonna get a little geeky, and we're also gonna share some great stuff.
Cool.
Yes. So, but before, and I love the topic. Let's keep it simple, because I know I struggle with that, keeping things simple. But I know that's the best way to go. So, but before we do that, let's. We always like to start the conversation with hearing about your story, because I know our why is really important, and why we're doing what we're doing is really sometimes the best way to connect with our audience, because we are more relatable and they can kind of see the passion.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah. I'm glad this is a 4-hour podcast because it's a long story.
Boy. No, Lori, we talked about this. You only have 10 minutes.
We did. Yeah. Years ago, I started as a teacher, and then, life changes, things happen. But my my teaching degree was actually in home ec. I was a home ec teacher. So I had a lot of design. I had a lot of, the things that you do with that years and years ago. And so yes, absolutely. And I grew up as, with parents that were artists. So I kind of grew up with that creative bend. And then when I went to work for a quote unquote real job, I've had that described to me. It's like, well, what do you think teaching is? Anyway, it was in a creative company. It was my only avenue with corporate work, which thank God I got it. But it gave me a lot of graphic skills. It gave me some really good skills that when you go through different changes in life, everything builds on everything. And you don't realize it at the time until you finally find what what you love, what you're good at, what is fun for you. Because I really believe that business should be fun. And if it's not fun, then why are you doing it?
Because we spend so much time at, doing our business or in a job. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I had my own business in the 90s when entrepreneurship wasn't a word. Working at home was weird. But I just felt like I needed to do my own thing. I really had no idea what I was doing. I just kind of did it by rote. It was before internet. Excuse me. And I did marketing packaging. I customized binders, customized folders. And it was a really great business. It was a $500,000 business in the 90s. So, by myself, when $500,000 was $500,000.
Yeah.
And so I did that for several years. And all of a sudden, this thing that had started kind of growing and growing, and I discovered it wasn't going to go away, was the internet. So by 2006, people just didn't really want custom binders anymore. Mm-hmm. And my business was dwindling. So from $500,000 company to barely making it, finally I was like, this just isn't working. I've either got to redefine myself, or I need to find something else. And so I did a couple of different things for a while. 2008 hit, the economy tanked. I was selling print. It became a commodity. And, so there again, I was looking at, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to take all this knowledge that I call career capital and turn it into something that I really want to do? So I stumbled across this company that was looking for an account manager, and they were a digital marketing company. I knew nothing. I wasn't technical. I had a computer, and that was about it. In fact, my very first computer that I ever owned, I finally sold because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't make it work. And I didn't realize you had to put software into it. So that's how non-technical I was. So I went to work for this company and discovered that if I would kind of learn some of the basics of website building and WordPress and learn some of this stuff, that I could help my customers better. And so over the course of the years, I don't
think it was WordPress back then, though, was it?
Well, it was in 2010. It wasn't the WordPress we know today. We didn't have the builders. It was coding. It was
Dreamweaver. I learned Dreamweaver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And see, this was a very basic, rudimentary. I mean, you look at WordPress now, and it's changed a lot even since 2010. But I think it was about 4 or 5 years old. It was built as a blogger site so that bloggers could go on and post their sites. So it still to this day has a lot of that. You see a lot of that heritage in it, in the blogs and stuff like that. But, so I just started asking questions and started, talking to the developers and the designers and saying, what did you do here? And finally, I just kind of made my own little way. I just played around with it. And then I was laid off because I wasn't technical enough. But what my boss didn't realize was I was becoming technical. I was asking questions because that's just who I am. So I had an old high school friend call me, and he said, hey, because I'd been reaching out to him, say, you need a new website. It's been 10 years. You need a new website. So he called me and he said, hey, I finally reached out because you're right. I needed a new website, but you're no longer at the company. What do I do? And this, how you just have these moments and you think, why? I said, I'll build you a website. And he's like, okay. And immediately it was like, oh, what did I just do? Yeah. But I said, full transparency, I've never done this by myself, but if you're patient, then and he said, let's do this. He said, it's been 10 years. I think I can be patient a little longer. So that's what I did. And he's still a client to this day. In fact, we are just about to redo that original website that we did.
Wow. How cool is that?
It just kind of, and as it started happening, it was like, okay, this is this is where I can make a really difference in small businesses, because I have a lot of different philosophies than a lot of website designers do. I bring a different background to it. So I can bring marketing to it that a lot of your commodity websites can't do. So that's kind of, it just, everything came together, and everything that I'd done and everything that I'd been in the past just came together with this, and just love what I do.
So tell us a little bit about what you do now.
Now what I do is I own a website design agency.
Yep.
So we help clients, we have small business owners put their businesses out into the world in a way that makes sense for their business, in a way that highlights them, highlights what they do and how they serve their clients, how they serve their customers, makes it about their customers, not about them. But we bring a marketing strategy to it. And I will be the first to tell every new business owner that is sitting out there listening to your podcast, you don't need a website when you start your business. You need to go out and you start eye to eye, toe to toe, meet people, start getting clients. You might have a little bit of a presence, but you don't sweat over doing a huge website, because you don't need it.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I want to take a quick break because I have a ton of questions for you.
Sure.
Like, I'm thinking, as we're talking, all of these different questions from my perspective and from new business owners' perspective, and how to navigate this whole website journey. So that way we're doing it in a way that's going to actually help us not create like this big bill. Because
right.
I paid for a website. This is going back. So I have still have a women's networking organization. And I did bootstrap my first website, and I kind of did it, and it was okay. But then I hired somebody to build this like flashy, crazy website, and paid $20,000 for it.
Wow. Yeah.
With a business that wasn't making that, but they sold me all of these bells and whistles, and it was going to be a community, and it was going to be a portal, and like all of these different things that never really worked.
Wow.
I just want to make sure that anybody that is in the business space, especially entrepreneurs, because we know how hard it is as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Right. We kind of go sometimes down different paths that we think are the right paths, but they're not. So I want to dive into some questions to hopefully get people in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. So hang tight, everybody. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about websites and marketing and how to get the best ROI with your online presence. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Christie and Lori Lyons, and we're going to be talking about websites. Or at least we're going to start the conversation there. So what I know you mentioned earlier before the break, how we don't necessarily need a website when we're just getting started out. And I completely agree with you. However, there is a point where we need to take that jump, because when you're going to be working with clients, and especially if you are getting more established and you want to charge more, you're going to be vetted. People are going to want to check you out, and they're going to want to make sure that you're legit. They're going to want to see your testimonials about what you do and the scope of what your business can provide. And so if you have somebody that is listening, if we have somebody listening right now that's just getting started, what do you suggest for them?
First thing I do suggest is to go out and start meeting people, start telling people what you do, so that you get proof of concept. Because what I find happening is new businesses especially will go out and they find that they have to refine what they're doing. As they start talking to people and somebody says, "Oh, I don't understand what you're talking about," then they might have to come back in and refine. And so what I tell my clients, my new business clients, is let's just put up a very simple one-page site. It says who you are. It's got your picture on it. It tells a little bit about what you do. It's got a contact form, and it's got a way to contact you, plus any social media that you have. Very simple. So that you can, as you change and your business morphs and grows, and as your message is tightened and tweaked, then you can change that very easily, because it happens to all of us. It happened to me, and I was a website designer, that my website, what I was doing and what I was talking about changed. So I've had to redo mine over the course of the years. So it's going to happen naturally with businesses. So if you start with something very simple, somehow, there were design companies out there that said you have to spend $20,000 on this big full-scale website when you first start out. And it puts a lot of pressure on a new business owner to say, I don't know exactly what my services are going to be. I don't know exactly what my message is. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I just know that I want to do this, and I know I've got a good idea. And I know that I'm getting some positive feedback. So keep it simple. Start with just a little one pager. And then as you grow, and then as you start getting clients, and as you start making money, invest into something that's a little more permanent, permanent in the technology world is 3 to 5 years. That's gonna serve you well once you find out what that message is, and people can go to it and say, oh, okay, now I know who she is, or what or he or she. I know what their business is and how they can serve me.
So most of the clients all of the clients I work with are entrepreneurs. And so I think that's a lot of our audience as well. And what I've come across is new coaches or new entrepreneurs, and their big excuses. Well, I'm working on my website. I can't do anything until my website's done. And I get that. We feel that we need to have that website for credibility. However, putting a website together is almost a full-time job in itself, even if you're not building it yourself, because you have to get photos done. You have to provide the content. Your website person can't put all of that stuff together. I mean, you have to basically frame it out. Now, of course, they'll help you, but there's a lot of work that goes into that. And then if you focus on that, now you're being distracted from your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of times I hear that as a block to not getting started.
Crutch.
So they're using the web. Yeah, exactly. A crutch. They're using the excuse as, well, I don't have my website out. I don't have a business card. I don't have a name. Nobody cares.
Yes.
Go out and tell them how you serve them. Yeah. And then if they relate to you, then they'll start paying you. I mean, I built my first website and had never even built one before. Did I wait for my website to be done? No, I went ahead and, and just took that leap of faith and said, no. Now, granted, I had a really good client to work with because, he was patient.
Right. He knew
you. But if I had waited, I would have lost him. I would have lost the next client, because, it just, sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith. If you know what you want to do and how you want to serve, you can do that. Now, it doesn't mean you, like I said earlier, just do something very simply. I would say put your first bit of funds into having some nice photos done. And if you do those right, then you can use them on your website. You can use them in your social media. You can use them and let people get to know who you are. So you can multi-purpose those, because on your website, you want good photos.
Yes,
there's a big difference when you see somebody that's got their own photos versus stock photos. So put your money there. You can multi-purpose that.
So what I like to do with brand new people is I just encourage them to put up your Facebook business page.
Yeah.
Because that's almost like your website on Facebook. And that's really a super easy way to get started. Just setting that up. Now, okay, when you talk to somebody new, there's a lot you can do on your business page that will showcase your business and give you that credibility. I also encourage people to buy a domain.
Yes.
Buy the domain. If you can find the domain of your business, that is a great piece to research when you're maybe naming your business. I also encourage people to buy their actual physical name, because as you're building your expert brand, you may want to, at some point, have your name. And if you buy it and hang on to it, even if you buy it and redirect your name to your website, it's
Right.
definitely, I think, a advantage. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and how SEO and all that goes into play with
Sure.
domains?
Yeah, the first thing that I always do when I bring on a new client is say, do you have your domain in your name? And when they say yes, it's like, woohoo, because that gives us so many other options and so many things that we can do, especially if you're a solopreneur. And this is going to be, if you're building and going to stay a coach or a consultant, and it's going to stay a solopreneurship, it's a great way to brand yourself. It also, because like you said, you can use that into SEO. And that's a whole nother conversation about all the SEO that goes along with all of this. But SEO is everywhere we go. SEO is on videos. SEO is in our, in our social media. SEO is in our YouTube. It's in our podcasts. It's in everywhere we do. We want to, and if we're using our name as our SEO and as a keyword, then that certainly helps go a long way for that. But yeah, it's your name can always, nobody's going to change your name unless you change your name.
Yeah. And that's for women, there's that little piece to it, right? Like how is, especially if you're married and decide you're not going to be married, or if you're not married and you become married, there's a lot that goes into that.
Right.
But
and there's also forwards and read all the technical stuff that go in the back end that you can always do. And, because .coms are so harder to come by unless you have a really unusual name. I've been encouraging my clients to go to the .me's. Because it seems like that's where a lot of, if you can't get a .com, a lot of personalities and celebrities, unless you want to pay, like I could go buy my name as a .com, but it's really expensive. Mm-hmm. And it's just not that big of a deal as much as it was, 5 or 6 years ago, or even 2 years ago.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. All the other ones are getting a little, definitely.
Right.
However, you also want to keep in mind, if somebody does have your name as a .com, that could be kind of confusing. Right. If they're looking for you and find them.
Yes and no. Yes and no. If you are putting some thought into the SEO in the background and what you do, and let's say, because there's a Lori Lyons, it's an actress. There's a Lori Lyons, it's a basketball star. There's a Lori Lyons. There's 5 or 6 of us out there. I think there's an attorney. And if I Google my name, which we should do about every 3 to 4 months, just to see what's coming up.
So true.
Then if somebody goes in and I will say, Google Lori Lyons marketing or Lori Lyons websites or Lori Lyons, then you can be a little more specific. If I were to Google you, I might say Christie Ruffino podcast or Christie Ruffino, business dev or Christie Ruffino women's professional development group or something like that. I would be very specific. And there's so many names that unless your name is Rapunzel or something, there's a lot of people out there with all of our names. So
yeah. Well, and also to the spelling, there's a lot of different things. All right. So let's talk a little bit now about platforms. Because you mentioned WordPress before,
right.
And that's the big one, right? And I love WordPress. Like I wouldn't really encourage anybody to use any other one because there's so much capacity for growth.
Right.
Not even growth, but just functionality. However, you have to maintain WordPress. You have to go in at least every 2 months, at least, to make sure the updates are being done. Right. It's easy, but somebody that is not their job, they don't want to learn how to do all of that. And so I know there are other platforms out there. I've used other ones. But tell me, like, as far as from your professional opinion, and I don't know if we want to talk about any of the other ones, but are there some out there that you feel are comparable?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say comparable because they're all different, but yeah, I'm a WordPress shop. I love WordPress. I tell my clients WordPress will, plan your menus for you. They'll go shopping for you. They'll cook for you. They almost, but not will clean up for you. So it will do a lot of things and if you look at the Wixes or the Squarespaces or the Weebly's or the GoDaddy builders or all the other builders that are out there, the biggest thing is you don't own it.
Yes.
And any content that you put on it is technically not your content. So if you have one of those, make sure that you are taking screenshots and if you change content, make sure that you keep it somewhere that you can have access to it. Because just like some of the social media platforms that we know and love to hate, they can change anything that they want on any of their platforms at any time. And you really have nothing to say about it because you don't own it. You're just at their mercy. And they're also very limited in functionality. If you are growing, but they have their place in the marketplace because anybody can sit down and learn how to build one. If you're even the slightest technology inclined, as most people are these days, it will serve as a stopgap until you decide what you need as a bigger company. And you may even totally bypass WordPress and go to something custom developed. Whenever you did your membership site, there may or may not been the capability for WordPress to do what you needed, so you had to go that route. There's a lot more options today than there used to be, even 5 or 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I would say, if you feel like you have to have a website and you don't have the budget for somebody good that can help you really walk through it, go to a Wix or a Weebly or Squarespace and use those, because they really, I can look at some of them now and I can't tell the difference just by looking at them. I can usually figure it out.
Oh, yeah, you can figure it out with the code. But what I've noticed lately is I've seen some of the bigger influencers out there using Squarespace, and I'm like, wow, why? Like, I don't understand it. I mean, they're nice, clean looking sites, but you can do the same thing with WordPress, of course. And you're not limited to growth.
Right. Well, when you look at their influencers on social media. So their thing is going to be social media.
Correct.
And what I tell my clients is, when you look at social media, and this is the story I tell, when you go out and when you want to buy a cake or bake a cake, you're not going to go to 4 different stores and buy flour at one, eggs at one, sugar at one, baking soda at another, whatever you put in the cake. You're going to want to buy it all in one store. Mm-hmm. But if I want to know about you, Christie, I might go to your Facebook page, or I might go to your LinkedIn page, and I might go to your Instagram, because I want to get a little bit of a taste of who you are and what you're doing. And I might scroll a little bit, but I don't want to sit there and spend, a lot of time scrolling to find out what I need. I want to go to your website and see exactly what I want to find out, because as your business is matured, it's, you're there. I can find out exactly what I want to know. So it's a one-stop shop to find out all the information that I need. So an influencer, their bread and butter is on Instagram or wherever it happens to be, TikTok, whatever. So for them to drive you off of their platform and off of their analytics, they're not going to want to do that. So, there's pros and cons to both. Mm-hmm. And there's a need in the marketplace now for both. Yeah. They just have to work together.
Yeah. And some of these, like funnel builder platforms, membership site platforms, things that have other functionalities, they've started to incorporate more pieces. Like you said, the one-stop shop that has everything, and they have the ability to build websites as well, but the abilities are very limited. You don't have you have to stay within their square box, right? And so
it's they're kind of like sofa beds. They're not good beds, or they're not good sofas.
No, they're not comfortable. You don't want to sleep on them.
No, you don't even want to sit on them. So and I've played around with some of those, and I just got so frustrated because I'm so used to the functionality of WordPress. It's like,
I know, just doing landing pages on some of them, I'm like, I can't imagine doing my whole website on this, right?
Well, and to that point, if you've got, especially if you've got a WordPress site, you can build landing pages right on your WordPress and drive all of your traffic to there. Yep. Why would you drive it to somebody else's platform? Drive it to yours.
That's what I do. I embed forms in my site as often as I can, because it's just creating more, SEO juice, or it hits on my site. Yeah, for sure. All right. So then we have, all right, everybody's listening right now is sold. They want a WordPress site.
Yes.
And I know now it is so much easier with this drag and drop builders to be able to, and not even drag and drop, where you can actually see what you're building. I know when I first started with all these, you couldn't see what you were doing. So you'd have to do it all and then look at it and then go back and do it and look at it again. And it was crazy. But now, I found a theme that I really love, and it's very visual. And what's great is this theme has 1 million templates. So I can just say, I want my website, my page to look like this. And then I just swap out a couple things. So it's so much easier. So I don't know, any suggestions for anybody that is wanting to get started and maybe thinking, hey, I could try to figure this out on my own?
Yeah, I will tell you that in 2010, before it became very simple, and with the builders and all the stuff that you have out there today, I taught myself how to do it through YouTube, because YouTube was very geeky when it first started. There's a lot of videos out there that will explain to you exactly how to do things. And so I started on YouTube and I bought a WordPress for Dummies and I would ask questions.
Yes.
I don't have a computer, I don't have a design degree. I taught myself how to do it. And if you're patient, but if you go into the mindset with, this is never going to happen because I'm not technical, I'm not this, then of course it's not going to happen. It's just a matter of where we want to spend our time and where we want to spend our money. And are you spending, I have a friend of mine, a very dear friend. We're a client. We've known each other forever. We're accountability partners. And she will spend 4 hours making a change on her website because she doesn't want to pay me to do what would take me 20 minutes to do.
Right. And she could be spending that 4 hours doing something else. And that's a great point, which I was going to get to next, because some people want to go and do it themselves, but then they're taking their time away from money-making activities.
Exactly. Where are you more profitable going out and talking to clients, going out and meeting people, making phone calls, building your numbers, or are you more profitable learning, sitting and watching a YouTube video on how to install WordPress?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense, but more, to each his own.
Gotcha. Well, this has been great. I know for me, I'm like all about talking all this WordPress stuff. And I would love to be able to just talk with you more about SEO and all these other crazy geeky things. Cause same thing I learned in high school, a little bit ago. I'm not going to say how long ago, but I learned Dreamweaver. I learned, you made the images and then you had to cut them apart in pieces and then you put them in the squares and they're supposed to all fit together. And now it's just, everything is so visual. But so I did the same thing. I learned WordPress on my own, and it's not hard, but it's not necessarily the best use of an entrepreneur's time.
Right. And WordPress, we were talking about this earlier. WordPress started as blogger sites. They saw, whoever were the originators saw a need as blogs became more popular in the early 2000s. It started out as a blog site. So it started out to be meant to be very easy. Mm-hmm. And, as people more use it. And if we've got a second, I'll give, for the business owners sitting out there that are all stressing about their SEO, I'm going to give you 3 quick tips that you can use that will boost your SEO. Make changes to your site, add frequently asked questions. If you are getting constant questions from your potential clients over and over again, add them to your website as frequently asked questions, because that will be new content. If you change any verbiage, add anything, put blogs up or vlogs, those are new content. Anything that you can do, because Google likes new content. They like to see that you're actively working, and there's very simple, easy ways to do it. If you're on podcasts, like the interview today, post the interview on your website. Not only the podcast hosts love you, but it'll help drive SEO for you both, because it's new content. So there's simple, easy ways that you can do it without paying a company thousands of dollars for SEO, which was really big 10 or 15 years ago. You don't need to do that today.
You don't. Okay. And one more question about WordPress.
Yeah.
There are two, this is confusing for some people, but there are 2 different WordPresses. Right. There's the one that is free for everybody, but that's like the other sites. You don't own that. And so I've had people that start down that path, and I'm like, no, you don't want that. You want it's not even the paid version, because you don't pay for WordPress, but you have to buy the domain. You have to pay for hosting, and you have to build it on basically it's your site now. And so can you share just briefly the difference between WordPress?
Sure. .com. They were both, WordPress was started as open source, which means that it was going to be free to whoever uses it. And technically it still is. Doesn't mean that a lot of people like myself aren't making money off of it. But .com, WordPress.com, is the company that if you wanted a website and you said, oh, I'm going to go, and they own your domain, they own your site, they own everything about it, and you're very limited at what you can do with that site. Is it free? Yes, you can do it free, but they also have paid versions that you can add to it. But ultimately, it's just like a Wix or a Weebly, and that you don't own it. You don't own it.
And it's very basic, and it's not very,
it's very basic. very basic. WordPress.org is where you get all the plugins. It's where you get all the functionality. It's where you get a lot of the, the bells and whistles of WordPress that are, some of them are free, some of them are paid, but the .org is the one that is open source to anybody. That's what you put on your website when you buy your hosting and you set it all up. WordPress.org is what you're putting on your site.
Perfect.
So it's a little, complicated to explain, but it's one of those, when you see it, you'll know it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I don't think everybody knows that there is a difference. So they just say, oh, okay, now I'm on WordPress. And I'm just like, oh, yeah,
right.
But
yeah, we're going through that
the
right
one
now.
you want to be on.
Exactly. We're just taking live in the next few hours of a site that was on a .com, and we've had a really hard time getting our domain. So because it was on the WordPress.
Yeah, because they don't want to give it up, I don't think, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh boy.
So,
all right. Well, Lori, this was super enlightening. Hopefully everybody that listened wanted to know about, well, if they're still here, of course, they did want to know about websites. But it's an important thing for businesses because it's part of your social presence, and people want to be able to check you out and make sure you are who you are and you're qualified to do what you say you're going to do. And it's almost like an online brochure.
Absolutely. But you're talking about how you serve them.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. So you have a free gift that you want to share with our audience.
It's called FunBiz, B-I-Z, checklist.com. And these are the 3 things that you need to worry about with your marketing, with your website, with anything. There's 3 points to the checklist. So it's a very small checklist, but it will help you as you're setting the stage for your future endeavors and your future marketing with your business.
Perfect.
FunBizChecklist.com.
Perfect. And you can go to the show notes and get the link to grab that. And then not only will you get Lori's free gift, but you're going to have access to all of the other gifts in our gift vault. So go to the link and you can sign up to get Lori's free FunBiz checklist.
Yes.
So Lori, I want to thank you for sharing all of your wisdom today. This was great.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. And it's, if I can do a shameless plug, you're going to be on my podcast very soon. So it's the Encore Entrepreneur. So take a look at that when you get a chance. It's, business tips and marketing strategies. And Christie will be on live in a couple of months.
Yes. And what we'll do is it may be around the same time when this one airs and that one. Yeah. So we don't know the timing of it, but we'll make sure that the link for that is in the show notes as well. So Make sure you check out Lori's podcast. And of course, if you learned anything today, if you took a ton of notes, like I did, I loved your little tips about, and I have 4 or 5 websites. It's crazy. Yeah. But I don't have FAQs on all of them. So that is something that I'm going to have to incorporate because I didn't realize that it really made a difference. I did it because I thought it made my life easier to not answer the same questions over and over again, but I didn't realize it would help with my SEO juice. So I took some great notes. And if anybody that's listening took notes and found, this to be informative, please share what you learned with somebody you know, especially other entrepreneurs. And of course, if you like our podcast, please go to whatever platform you listen and, give us a review, give us a rating, share your love, because the more support we have from our fans, the more chances we have to keep encouraging and attracting other great guests like Lori here. So thanks, everybody. And most importantly, thanks, Lori.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Mastery Unleashed podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams by turning their mess into their greatest message and following their purpose to help the people who need their newfound wisdom and resources. To learn more, visit masteryunleashedpodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review to this show.